Okay, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussions. It's the second part of our Eddie Guerrero series. We're going to cover his WWE career when he came in with the Radicals. I'm your host, Mike.
And I'm Frank. Let's get right to it. This was the better part of Eddie Guerrero's career. This is what saved him
Mhm.
leaving WCW, which the Radicals had called them a cancer in a behind the scenes thing, and with the backstage politics and everything else, and the booking and all the garbage that
Mhm.
was going on. This would actually benefit them, and we're
Well,
gonna kick it off right now. We're good. What's up?
well, it would benefit everyone except Perry Saturn.
It did for the first year or two because I mean the title here and there. I mean it wasn't as successful as Guerrero and Benoit's run, but it didn't. I mean even you could say Malenko was in that same boat with.
No, but Malenko actually made himself a career backstage. That's when I say that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Perry Saturn just, you know.
Well,
But
it was
anyway,
also his career was winding down too because remember he
what did he
spent
get? What did he get jammed up for? That they put that mob gimmick on him. He did something stupid, didn't he?
Moppy. Oh my
But that
God.
was punishment. That was punishment. Didn't he do something stupid? I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, some backstage
He did
altercation and they
something, yeah.
decided to
They
oh my
punished
God.
him.
I spent so many years trying to forget that, and you just put that back in my
Yeah.
head. And this isn't even a Perry Saturn
Yeah. So all
episode.
right, we won't go over that. But anyway, it was worth
I believe
it's
he
worth
did this.
mentioning. But anyway,
It's hilarious and sad at the same
yeah.
time. In any event, Eddie Guerrero debuted on January 31st, 2000, on Monday Night Raw as the Radicals came to the
Hmm.
ringside. Guerrero, Benoit, Malenko, and Saturn,
They were in the
and
crowd,
got
right?
involved. Yeah,
They were
they
sitting
sat
in
down
the
in the front
crowd.
row.
Yeah. Hmm.
During they got involved in the match that involved had the New Age Outlaws in it, and they
That's right.
started giving them a beatdown. And the crowd just went nuts when they got into it because now we know, oh, they're really here.
Yeah.
So his first match, which was Guerrero and Saturn versus New Age Outlaws. Unfortunately, his first match put him out
He gets
for a
hurt
while
immediately.
with his elbow with the frog splash.
Yeah, you could see when he gets hurt when he does it. You could see he looks at his arm and he grabs. You
Yeah,
can
he dislocated his elbow
Yeah.
doing the frog splash
Talk
because the
about
one thing, especially he would know, is when you do the move, you don't land
right.
with your elbows down. That's a no-no. And unfortunately, I guess I don't know if it was the hype of wrestling his first match on Raw,
Might have been. I
whatever it
think he
was.
was probably really, really charged up, and he was just
Yeah,
so excited um, to come in and put on a show and a performance. Considering the fact WWE fans, I mean, I feel like back then we watched both programs. Most people, it wasn't like the
yes,
'80s, right? Like in the '80s, people were kind of like, "Oh, we only watch NWA, WCW, or we only watch WWE." Some people watched both, but I would say that there was more of a division during that time period. We were going back and forth.
oh, I
So
was
we
constantly
knew,
channel surfing.
right? So we knew who he was. I certainly knew. But he still wanted to make a big impact, especially for the people that didn't know who he was. Also to show the company like this was a good investment. To show Eric Bischoff, you screwed up letting me go, letting everybody else go.
Yep.
So and it was a huge. He took a huge gamble, man. They were all that was a gamble for them, even though the Titanic was sinking and maybe they knew that. It was still a gamble for all of those guys to jump over there.
Yeah, it wasn't a guarantee it was going to
No,
work.
because it's not like these guys were huge, and at that point, I mean,
Not to mention, you don't know how the boys in the back are going to
no, you don't know how
adapt
they're
to
going to
them
respond. Jericho
because
had a
they.
lot of problems for a long time when he first
Yes, he
showed up.
did. Because you look at them and go, you're part of the company that's trying to
Right,
put us out of business, and now
right.
you're over here, and I'm supposed to work with you and
Hmm.
blah blah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I get it.
So,
So during that match, they were actually supposed to win, but Guerrero told Road Dogg to pin him because of the injury. They had to end the match early.
yeah.
And
So they was
if you go back and
well,
look,
it
if you
was
go
the
back and look
Outlaws,
at it, you can kind of see it.
but it was the Outlaws that won, right? The Outlaws won the match.
Yeah, because it was
I
originally
just,
supposed to be Guerrero and Saturn, but because of
yeah,
the
but
injury, he told him just pin me. They had to call an audible on that one.
I didn't get that though. They should have done something because you got this group that's going in there trying to make a huge impact right out of the gate, and then you have them lose.
Well,
I
because
don't
of the
agree with it.
injury.
Yeah, but it wasn't like when Triple H blew his quad out, he couldn't even walk, and I think he still won, right? I don't remember.
That's because he's the man.
But I'm saying, I'm saying, quad injury is a
Had
lot
to do it.
worse. No, I know that. The quad injury is a lot worse. They could have still. I don't think
He could have probably at some point maybe tagged Saturn, and
that's what
Saturn
I'm
could have
saying.
did what they did.
Right.
In the heat of the moment, I think he didn't know
Maybe
maybe
they
the
didn't know what to
severity
do.
of it,
Yeah, I don't know.
and they made a split decision, and they did what they did.
Yeah.
In any event, for that he was out several weeks. However, he didn't stay off TV. He came out.
He showed up. He had the
arm in the sling.
Yeah.
So now they were, if I can get my words out here, the Radicals were now aligned with Triple H at this point.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I actually wanted them to go up against DX, not with them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because like I said in the last episode, 2000. Not that the product was getting bad. It was stale for a minute, just because of the injuries you had going into 2000.
Austin and Taker were out.
Yeah, Taker's out with his hip surgery. Austin was out with the neck surgery. There was no timeline for these guys' return. So bringing in these four guys, and would have made sense considering now Cactus Jack is walking away. It would have been something new.
Yeah.
Besides knowing that The Rock was going to be the top guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, in any event, in March, despite wrestling as a heel, started pursuing China.
Yeah.
Or how he called Mamacita.
Yeah.
As he would call her, and I liked it and I didn't. I don't know. There was just some things about it. It was kind of fun. It helped keep her relevant. Gave maybe him something to do as well. I don't know. There were certain points I liked it. Certain points I didn't.
I thought it was great. At least the first, I'd say the first 75% of it was
when they started it.
Yeah, they got over, man. And Eddie.
Oh yeah.
Eddie was really. If you think about it, I think that Eddie Guerrero was the first member of that group to really get over and to break out because of his thing with China. He really broke out and he got over. And he was they were heels.
Yeah.
But they had to turn them babyface because everybody was cheering for them. They just loved it. They had good chemistry together. It was so funny seeing him because she's bigger than him. And he's he's all in love with her. And at first she was she didn't want anything to do with him, and then he kept pursuing her, and then he got her. He used to come out with the rose. And it was great. It was great stuff. I loved it. At least like I said, the first 3 quarters of that.
Yeah. So they actually got together April 3rd, 2000 on Raw, the night after Mania, when she helped Guerrero beat Jericho to become the European champion.
Jericho and Guerrero, man, back having matches again.
Oh yeah,
isn't that something?
Yeah, shit. I the fact that I got to see all those matches that I saw on Nitro, I got to see on Raw pay-per-views was great.
Yep.
Especially later on with Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they didn't duplicate Halloween Havoc, but they came pretty close. Mm-hmm. So he next feuded with S.A. Rios and Lita. And if most people don't know S.A. Rios,
I remember S.A. Rios.
Papi Chulo in ECW. I thought they did him wrong as far as the naming. I mean, they could have kept it the way it was. They didn't do much with him, but the guy was a phenomenal athlete.
He was. No, he came in with Lita, right?
Yeah, that's how she entered WWE before she went with Team Extreme.
Right.
So I mean, I liked S.A. Rios' style, but
I thought he was a wrestler. I like watching him.
He was, and they still had the cruiserweight title at the point. I just don't understand why it didn't click with him. Vince brought him in, and then after a couple of matches, he gave up on him.
Was it the language? I don't think he really. I apologize for any S.A. Rios out there fans. I don't remember if he really spoke English well.
I will say this: there are more S.A. Rios fans out there than there are Jeff Jarrett fans.
Well, that's not saying much. How about Adam Bomb? Are there more Adam Bomb?
I knew you were going to bring that up today. I just knew you were going to do that.
For those who have not seen our King of the Ring episode, or there's an Adam Bomb thing. For those of you who have seen it already, King of the Ring '93, you'll get the Adam Bomb reference.
You know what? I'm getting you an Adam Bomb shirt. That's it. It's on now.
Please do. We're gonna do an Adam Bomb episode.
If I can find one.
We are gonna do an Adam Bomb episode. Okay,
that's fine. I'll work on it today.
All right.
But I just knew you were going to say something in regards to that. In any event, he was feuding with S.A. and Lita, heading into Backlash where he defended his title. And that night, if you remember, they also did his prom.
Yes,
the storyline with the prom.
She had the dress and he had the suit on, and I think they showed up late to the arena, right?
Yeah, he arrived at the ring in a '57 Chevy.
Yes.
He wrestled in a tuxedo,
Yes.
tuxedo pants and a bow tie during that
Right. I
match.
think he takes the shirt off though, but he has the bow tie on
Yeah.
and he does the
Hmm.
slacks, or the dress pants.
Yeah, I thought that was classic.
That was funny. That was hilarious. I think
It
they were gonna
was.
strip him. I think what happens is he's late and they're telling him like, "Oh, we're
Hmm.
gonna strip you of the
Yeah, and he hurries up and runs down to the
hurries up."
ring in his
Yeah.
tuxedo.
Hmm.
So quickly after that, at Judgment Day, he turned face when he faced Saturn and Malenko for the European Championship. He lost the title to Saturn at Fully Loaded. So at least they did something with Saturn in a brief time, but again, not much. By the King of the Ring, there was a kind of a rift. Guerrero had pinned her to get into the King of the Ring tournament, and of course, he lost in the first round. But and when we get to the eventually down the road to the King of the Ring 2000, we'll get into that match more. Um, at SummerSlam, there was they did a mixed tag team match for the double titles, I believe it was. Trish Stratus and Val Venus versus China and Eddie Guerrero
Yeah.
at SummerSlam. Whoever was pinned would be the Intercontinental Champion. China pinned Trish, so now that made her a two-time Intercontinental Champion.
That's right.
He didn't like that. So on September 4th, Guerrero got put into the match with China versus Kurt Angle because he was worried about her taking the bumps from Kurt, and he was supposedly it was for her well-being, and that's the night, if everybody remembers, when she got knocked out hard. He went and checked her, and when he put her down on the mat, the referee counted the three, and he took her Intercontinental Championship. And he's like, "Uh-oh,
and then
what did I do?"
Right, but then when they hug backstage and he's apologizing, then he gives that smirk, like you see, like
I got what I want. Actually, I got both things I want. I got Mamacita and I got the belt.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that was kind of cool when they did that. So it now led to frustration from her as well as him due to her. Remember, now she was posing for Playboy at that point.
Yeah, that's right.
And they did the skit where he was banging on the Playboy Mansion door.
Yeah, oh
Look,
my God.
He's demanding that Hugh Hefner come out.
Right.
They kicked him out and stuff. Oh my God.
That was classic. That was great. That was great stuff, man. Eddie had a comedic. He could do the comedy, he could do the serious, he could do anything. Talk about a guy with a versatility. He never got to really show that in WCW.
No, he didn't because they didn't allow him to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine if he was given another 10 years or 5 to 10 years in WWE afterwards, what else they could have accomplished.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what was the match that he had that it was he was what championship belt did he have? And somebody else had the IC title or something. I think he was the Euro champion, and somebody has the IC championship, but then they only put the IC title on the line. I think it was like weird. It wasn't title for title. I didn't understand. Is that later?
Trying to remember that one. I know which one. I know what you're talking about.
That was one. Where it was champion versus champion, but then like only one.
Was it Benoit?
They flipped a coin. I remember they flipped a coin for it.
I think it was Benoit.
Was either Benoit or Jericho. Maybe it was Benoit.
Because it was the Intercontinental Championship.
And they flipped a coin, and whoever then would be for the title. Oh, that was weird. I forgot. Maybe we didn't get up to it, but
I do remember it though.
Yeah.
Now it's not like WrestleMania 2000 where Kurt Angle is the Euro Continental Champion, facing two opponents. The first match is for one belt. The other match is both. And he wound up losing both.
That's hilarious. That was actually a good. That's actually a good something different to do.
Yeah, they haven't really done that since.
Yeah.
But I mean, watching WrestleMania 2000 and that, I knew Guerrero and not Guerrero, Jericho and Benoit. One of them's getting one belt, the other one's getting the other. I mean, this guy's not walking away with one. So yeah, it was funny. So when she was about to leave him, this is towards the end of his storyline. He actually proposed to her. And he did it in the middle of the ring on Monday Night Raw. And then that's when she helped him keep the title at Unforgiven against Rikishi.
Yes.
And that was before he did it for The Rock.
Yeah.
So she called off the engagement when she caught him in the shower with two of the Godfather's hoes. And one of them actually was Victoria. But she wasn't a wrestler just yet.
Not yet, yeah.
So he was claiming that two Mamacitas were better than one. So it wasn't like he was trying to hide it at this point or say I'm sorry. He was just like, screw it, two are better than one. Yeah, goodbye, I'm done with you. But by that point, I think she was pretty much on her way out. Unfortunately, because after she became the women's champion, I don't know if it was a vendetta with Stephanie because she was Triple H's ex. I guess you could say almost fiance because they were almost engaged when he broke it off. I think it was a vendetta thing because all of a sudden she just was up and gone and there was no reasoning for her termination. So there's no. It's one of those things you'll never fully find out.
Supposedly had to do with money too. She was asking for more money, and I think it was a combination. I think it was a combination of different things.
Yeah, Stephanie didn't really care for her. She was the other woman type thing. Whatever. This is why I say you never should mix business and personal. Yeah. In any event. Moving on from here, this led to the Radicals reuniting at Survivor Series against it was Billy Gunn, China, Road Dogg, and K Quick, or R-Truth if you want to go that route. Because, and to be quite honest, I can't believe I'm saying this. R-Truth looks better now wrestling than he did 20 years ago. I mean, this guy is just improving with age. A 50-time 24/7 champion.
Yeah.
So it was them versus all the Radicals. They even which they won. They even helped Triple H against Austin later on that night in Austin's return match. Guerrero lost the Intercontinental title then to Billy Gunn, the one Billy Gunn. I actually liked that gimmick and the way he looked and everything. I actually thought at one point he could be considered to be in the championship discussion until they went a total 180 with the whole Billy and Chuck thing. But when he came back and he kept
getting hurt.
Yeah,
he kept getting hurt.
I really thought there was a possibility.
He looked like $1 million, and he was a great athlete. They kept saying over and over, the purest athlete in the WWF. Yeah, beat it into our heads.
Yeah, seriously.
But he wasn't good on the mic, and he kept getting hurt, and that was ultimately the downfall of him.
Yeah, so they put him back in the tag team where he'd work half the time, and then went back to the singles role until he left in 2004. So Benoit then left the group, and the three men feuded with the Hardy Boys and Leader at Armageddon. And that was actually a decent match. I think it was the opening match of Armageddon. It wasn't too bad, but it wasn't too good either. So, which led us into 2001. At the start of 2001, he actually feuded with Jericho for the Intercontinental Championship, along with X-Pac and Benoit. He had a fatal four-way match at No Way Out, which Jericho then won. Shortly after that, then he focused on the European title. And I thought this match was weird for WrestleMania because for WrestleMania 17, it was one of the weaker matches, in my opinion, when it was him and Test facing off against each other. He won the title from Test with the help of Saturn and Malenko. But again, I just thought it was, with the stack card that they had at WrestleMania 17, I just thought that was the weakest of them all. Yeah. It didn't make any sense. The fans weren't even really into it, too. And this was the WrestleMania where they were showing the WCW guys, hey, this is what put you out of business, by the way, because they were all in attendance. Well,
they were
five guys that
like the D.
Vince wound up firing.
It was like the D squad.
Sean Stasiak Chavo was there. Booker T was up there. Yeah. He was the only guy. But I mean, as far as the rest of them go, it was like, what are y'all doing here? Yeah. In any event. After WrestleMania, unfortunately in May 2001, Eddie Guerrero was sent to rehab due to a pain medication addiction that he suffered 2 years prior from the car accident. Mm-hmm. So they wrote him off TV with an injury that he had sustained from Albert. So this way, everybody didn't know what was going on. It just, as far as you know, he was out with an injury. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, in 2001 for him, it went from bad to worse because on November 9, 2001, he was arrested for drunk driving. And now at this point, Vince, he's got zero tolerance as it is. Yeah. 3 days later, they wound up firing him.
He missed the whole invasion angle.
I mean, with that, pretty much because of the whole rehab thing. And there was enough WWE guys missing already from this. Benoit wasn't involved in it. Triple H wasn't involved in it. And not to mention the plethora of WCW guys, which we talked about, that weren't involved in it. I mean, the invasion could have been so much better. Could have gone on for so much longer. They
It
really
went on
dropped.
long enough. It went on long enough.
Well, because of what we had. Imagine you bring in the NWO
Yeah,
and
no, but
everybody.
that's different. That's a different story. I'm just talking about what we got.
What really aggravated me was just the non-stop changing of the titles.
Yeah.
And the fact that for 6 months during it, it's nothing but Angle and Austin in the main event.
Yeah.
I mean, that got old fast.
Yeah. Well, definitely, we got to do a video on that. We got to do a whole video on the invasion, actually, because
I'll try to stay away.
Missed opportunity.
It was definitely. I mean, I remember you put out your invasion card,
fantasy card,
yeah, which was pretty good. Although I noticed you never did any tag team matches.
Yeah, I just felt like at that point the tag team division from WCW was trash. So,
well, you had the ECW guy. I mean, because the Dudleys couldn't get involved in that. Dudley's versus Brother of Destruction, but we had Taker and Kane already
in singles.
Matches.
They were in singles matches.
So that card was actually pretty better compared to what we had in July.
Yeah.
So, in any event, moving on to 2002 now, he's no longer with the company. However, on March 1st, 2002, I will bring this up because I thought this was pretty cool. He beat, in a triple threat match, he beat CM Punk and Rey Mysterio for the IWA Mid-South Heavyweight title. And what was cool was it was one submission on top of another submission.
Yeah, they were on top of each other. Yeah.
And this was Mysterio wasn't wrestling with the mask, so you'll see that. I thought this match was pretty good considering it was these three guys and CM Punk was making his start.
Yeah, he was nobody at that point.
No, he wasn't.
For him to share the ring with those guys at that point, wow.
It was pretty impressive, and they didn't throw him the typical rookie beatdown. They gave him the respect in that match.
And I'm pretty sure CM Punk said that Eddie was really nice to him. He was very gracious, and
Yeah, he never had anything bad to say about him. Only a few people in the business that were not the career trashers he had issues with. Guerrero wasn't one of them. So Guerrero gets his reshot at WWE on April 1st, 2002 on Monday Night Raw. He returned to the WWE.
That's almost a year.
Yeah, missing, what was his last thing was WrestleMania before he went out.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, back then as a fan, I really didn't. I was like, oh, he was gone? I was like, I didn't even realize, because with so many wrestlers going through there at the time,
there was so much.
He got lost in the shuffle.
He got lost in the shuffle, yeah. I felt the same exact way. I didn't even
unfortunately, because I was a Guerrero fan, and I was like, oh, hey, he's back. Where'd you go?
But there was so much going on with all
Too much going on, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially after the Survivor Series, when now they're trying to knock the roster back a little bit because the invasion's over. Who am I keeping? Who's gone?
Right.
Type thing. So he returned on Raw attacking Rob Van Dam, and he actually feuded with RVD for the Intercontinental Championship. He won the title at Backlash. So now you know that Vince has got 100% confidence in him again because he's already brought him back, and he's not only brought him back, but he's already put a belt on him.
And that was the battle of the frog splashes.
Exactly, yes. And these two guys would put on a clinic in the ring. This was a great match at Backlash.
Very exciting.
If nobody's seen it, I highly recommend you watching it. And pretty much just go back and watch everything in 2002 because 2002 was one of their greatest years in professional wrestling.
Yep.
With the roster and the matches they had, I highly recommend going back and watching all of it. So in any event, he lost the title to RVD on May 27, 2002 on Raw in a ladder match. I remember that match, and it was great. It was absolutely great. Now, his next feud was supposed to be with Stone Cold Steve Austin. By this point, Austin's having his diaper rash fetish. And I really can't blame him because you've had a dominant few years, and now all of a sudden you feel like you're being moved back to the mid-card. Because after he lost his opportunity of regaining the title at No Way Out, he fights Scott Hall at WrestleMania. It was an average match, but it was nothing against Steve Austin for that. And then from there, he starts a feud with Ric Flair and Big Show. And then from there, not only are you putting him in a feud with Guerrero, which for Guerrero is a step up, but for Austin, he sees it's not. From there, they tell him, oh, yeah, by the way, you're going to lose to Brock Lesnar in the first round qualifying match for the King of the Ring. I can understand Austin's frustration and be like, screw this, I'm leaving.
Yeah, at that point.
Maybe the way he just did it was wrong, but I can understand his frustration, but not so much for this feud with Eddie Guerrero because I think it would have been good.
Yeah, no, it would have been great.
They started it off, actually, it was in a bar. where the two of them
Mm-hmm.
that was the first segment they did, and then after that, that was it. Austin was gone. So they replaced the feud with Austin with Ric Flair, which again is not a slap in the face to either individual because they worked together in WCW. So and Ric Flair actually liked the fact of being able to work with Guerrero again. Pretty much, he said anything in the first couple of years just to stay relevant, which is why he got moved to Evolution because Triple H felt like he was being underutilized, and I got to agree. When Benoit returned from his injury was when Guerrero lost the Intercontinental Championship and was with him from there on out. They formed a tag team. They actually feuded with Ric Flair, and Guerrero lost to Flair at the King of the Ring. Moving on to August 1st, 2002, they were both moved to SmackDown when they started doing the draft.
Right. Yeah.
Before that, it was they did the brand split, but it was mainly if you were the WWE champion, you were working off both shows. If you lost to somebody from that show, now you were part of it.
Right.
So, and the only thing I didn't like about that brand split was he broke up all the tag teams. He broke up the Hardys. He broke up the APA. He broke up the Dudleys. I didn't like that.
Yeah, they were trying to do something different, but yeah,
it didn't work. Especially, unfortunately, with Devon. Bubba had Spike Dudley, so you still had the Dudley boys to an extent, but Reverend Devon
testify,
and that was the first gimmick for Batista.
The Deacon, yeah.
With the for whatever reason, the briefcase. I never understood that. They never even discussed it. In any event, they were both moved there where they feuded. Guerrero feuded with Edge at SummerSlam. He lost at SummerSlam, but won at Unforgiven against Edge. The rivalry ended 4 days later, where they had a no disqualification match that Edge had won. So that was actually a pretty good short feud that they had. That was actually Edge was it was right before his injury, so he's still trying to establish himself as a singles wrestler. Mm-hmm. Trying to get pushed, but unfortunately it wasn't working. By this point now, he had formed Los Guerreros with Chavo. Now, Chavo was on SmackDown, and they put the two of them together. And I don't know about you, but I really like these two together.
No, they were fun. The
whole we lie, we cheat, we steal.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of things that they pulled off was just classic.
Yeah, it was great.
Like I said, that was their slogan. They did the vignettes of going through a rich lady's house during a pool party, which I thought was funny. There was an article that came out right around that time that WWE had to address that said that it was something along the lines of not being racist towards the Latinos, but stereotyping them as thieves type thing.
No.
And when I read the article, and of course now you can't find it because I was trying to bring it up to bring it in here. Obviously, you can't find it anymore. It's been stricken from the record. I thought it was stupid that they did that because in no way was it signifying that.
It was funny. It was just funny.
It was. Yeah. But again, people are just going to be the way they are. In any event, the next feud was with Team Angle and Benoit. I'm sorry, with the team of Angle and Benoit. Team Angle wasn't there yet. Angle and Benoit beat them in the semifinals of the tag team tournaments, and they eventually won the initial tag titles. Once the brand split, they all had their own belts.
Right.
They won the tag titles at Survivor Series from them. Edge and Mysterio defended against Los Guerreros, Angle and Benoit in a triple threat elimination match. They were now at this point. Now they became fan favorites. At the first part, they were heels, but the fans loved them.
The fans loved them. They getting cheered. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you not want to cheer them? It was just awesome especially when they came out in the car. So moving into 2003 as the tag team champions, they lost the tag titles February 6th, 2003 on SmackDown against Haas and Benjamin.
Yeah.
Now they had come up and established themselves as Team Angle. This sparked a feud between the two of them, and it was great too. At WrestleMania 19, Haas and Benjamin defended the tag titles against Los Guerreros, also Benoit and Rhino. Now, obviously, Benoit's tag team partner is off doing other things later on in the main event, but Benoit and Rhino wasn't a bad duo. I mean, at this point, I think they were trying to find something for Benoit to do.
Right.
I never thought it was the tag team division, though, to be honest.
No, not really.
So Haas and Benjamin actually kept the tag titles that night. Unfortunately, they couldn't say the same for their leader, who Angle had lost the WWE title that night.
Mm-hmm.
5 days before Judgment Day, Chavo actually tore his bicep, and Eddie Guerrero had to find another tag team partner for his match. That's where Tajiri came in. I like Tajiri. He was quirky. He was better as a heel. He was more vicious as a heel than he was as a fan favorite.
Because of the green.
Yeah.
Green stuff.
I actually liked him, and there wasn't much they could do with him other than the cruiserweight title. I mean, he had a few title matches here and there where he won the belts, but really, I mean, he was never going to be a main eventer.
Right.
But he was good with the fans.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually won the tag titles in a ladder match against Haas and Benjamin. So now Tajiri and Guerrero are the tag team champions. They lost the tag titles to Haas and Benjamin on July 3rd on SmackDown, and Guerrero actually turned on Tajiri and became a heel at this point. And I think they did that mainly, because that was when Chavo was on his way back. So they had to split the tag team up somehow.
Right. Just find a way.
A handshake and off you go. So Guerrero defeated Benoit at Vengeance in the finals of the U.S. title tournament at this point. Guerrero retained the title at SummerSlam against Benoit, Tajiri, and Rhino in a fatal four-way match. Soon after, he became a face feuding with John Cena. So the whole heel thing didn't last that long. But at this point, Cena was a heel, but he was on his way to becoming a fan favorite. Yeah. So they fought in and I watched this not too long ago, and this was great. It was a Latino Heat parking lot brawl on SmackDown.
I remember that. I remember this. Yes.
You notice the one guy that was into it more than anybody was Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Bradshaw was out there, and he was getting into it more than anybody. I mean, this was a classic.
Cool. That was really good. Yeah, it was really good. It was really well done. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was. It was actually for the U.S. title. Guerrero kept it with the help of returning Chavo too. But then again, you can't really say that it was supposed to be clean because it's a street fight.
Street fight, anything goes. So
hell, I'm surprised Bradshaw didn't get involved in the match the way he was getting hyped up during it. So following week on SmackDown, Los Guerreros defeated Haas and Benjamin now to win the tag team championships once again. Guerrero has won. He's won now his third tag title, and now he was also a double champion because he's still the U.S. champion. Unfortunately, this didn't last long because his next opponent just wiped the floor with him with the U.S. title. He began a feud with Big Show, and the series of vignettes and things they did between the two of them, and this was just classic Guerrero, because you remember the laxative laced burritos he gave him. Oh my God. This was so funny, gross, but hysterical at the same time. I mean, just the things that Big Show would do anything, at this point, to be involved in it. He goes, "Oh, you want me to do this? You want me to do that? That's fine." Then he also, I remember he sprayed Big Show. It was a sewage truck that he used on him as well. Shortly after that, that was gross, but I mean, it was funny. The feud ended when he lost the U.S. title to Big Show at No Mercy, which you look at the two of them and you're like, there's no way Guerrero's getting over on him. And anyway, in any event, that actually set up the Big Show John Cena feud going into WrestleMania 20. Well, 4 days later on SmackDown, Los Guerreros now loses the tag team titles to the Basham brothers, Doug and Danny. And I mean, I was just something about them. They didn't catch on with me. I just didn't see it. I don't know about you, but I mean, even though they were part of JBL's cabinet at the start of all, they eventually became part of it. I just didn't see it. Just something about them. I just didn't. It didn't work, especially making them the tag champions. The feud began, but failed. They failed to get the titles back to Survivor Series. Animosity between Eddie and Chavo started growing at this point. As several attempts to regaining the titles were unsuccessful. Going into now 2004, Chavo had attacked Eddie after the Bashams beat him down on SmackDown. It was January 18, 2004. Chavo came out where we thought they were going to help him. He actually gave him the beatdown. So now the tag team's gone, over and done with. This began a feud. They fought at the Royal Rumble, where Eddie defeated Chavo. And after the match, Eddie busted Chavo open. He gave him an after the match attack and busted him open. Right? It was a decent match. It wasn't one of their best, but it was a good match. So from there, with Benoit now jumping to Raw after winning the Royal Rumble, which I don't want to talk about, Guerrero actually won a 15-man Royal Rumble match on
Mm-hmm.
SmackDown on January 29, 2004, earning him a shot at the title.
Mm-hmm.
This elevated him now to the main event status. And I remember I could not believe that he was the winner of it. It just wasn't expected, considering he wasn't in any type of main event status leading up to this.
No, it was a real shock. I remember being really surprised. But I guess they felt because Brock was leaving, they had to put it on somebody. So they're like, you know what, why not? Let's just try something new.
And Benoit was not going to be the WWE champion.
Hmm.
Only certain guys from WCW would get that honor. But if you notice, for the most part, they all, if they got a title shot or they got the title, they got the world heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
Guerrero was the exception.
Yeah.
And when I heard about this match being signed between Lesnar and Guerrero, I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna die. I mean, if anything, I figured Lesnar at this point, because I was speculating that Lesnar, if he was going to lose the title, would have been at WrestleMania. Because I knew he had the feud going with Goldberg, but I mean, I'm trying to look at it at all angles and be like, okay, am I really going to see him beat Lesnar? I mean, definitely not clean.
Yeah, no.
But as the storyline with Goldberg started rising between the two, that's when I figured, and then Austin gave him the invite to go to San Francisco to No Way Out, and told him, don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
You kind of knew there that, okay, Guerrero's going to win this thanks to a spear.
Mm-hmm.
And Lesnar actually complimented Guerrero and said this is one of his best matches, the best work he's done.
Yeah, it was a fun match.
I thought the stuff that they did leading up to it with the whole mariachi band and all that stuff was kind of hysterical, especially for Lesnar, who really doesn't do that stuff.
Right, yeah.
Because his character, he went into the match thinking this is a joke, this is a washout, I'm gonna win this in no time.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it didn't go that way, and Guerrero actually put on this was a great match. I really did enjoy it, despite what I thought initially. With the frog splash, the DDT on the title, despite the spear. The spear didn't even play a part in it at this point anymore. I mean, Guerrero really showed that he belonged.
Right.
And now at No Way Out, he beats Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship, and finally, he's the champion. Because if you think about it, up until this point, he could have been considered on the uncrowned episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He would have been he would have been definitely on there if he didn't get it. So he becomes the WWE champion at No Way Out. So now
there's a great picture of Vince when he has the title and Vince is there and he hugs Vince. Do you remember that picture?
Mm-hmm. I actually posted one not too long ago with him and Triple H with Vince.
Yeah.
But you probably cropped out Triple H.
Yeah, care about that guy. But...
Hey, they were the champions at the time.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm sorry. Take that back. It was Benoit.
Yeah.
Well, no, Benoit won. You know what I'm going with that. It's confusing. In any event, moving on now. He not only was he was a Triple Crown champion, but now he's become the Grand Slam champion.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a great accolade for him because only a handful of guys have really done that. So this went. Now he goes into WrestleMania, starting the feud with Kurt Angle.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the two of them at WrestleMania did a great job. I mean, nobody else could have done it better. I like the whole thing with the shoe. When he's untying his shoe, he's faking he's got the injury.
Yeah.
Angle goes for the angle lock. The boot comes off. Angle's got that shocked look. He goes over and kind of Guerrero just rolls him up real quick, gets the 1-2-3 victory. I especially like what Guerrero did at the end of that night. And I'm not going to congratulate a certain somebody else, but what Guerrero did that night and went out to the ring was a class act. You know, we did pretty much. He told them, "Hey, we came here together. We did it together.
We made it. Yeah, it was a touching moment. It was a very emotional for the both of them. You know, unfortunately, Kevin Nash comes out and says, I forgot when he said it. I don't think it was right after. I can't remember. He said that was the day that the wrestling died.
Why?
Because he said they put the titles on these two midgets.
Crap like that. I mean,
remember Kevin Nash is the one that coined the term vanilla midgets.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so.
I think that that's stupidity on his part to do this. It's taken away from their moment. They're not midget. I mean, the size really doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter, which is why a lot of these guys don't get the top spots.
The only one I would say where it was ridiculous that he got the belt was Mysterio.
Well, you know why they did that.
I know why they did it.
It was because that was supposed to be. Now, there's two different stories to that, and to that whole WrestleMania. Number one, they said that supposedly Guerrero was going to win the Rumble and go on to WrestleMania to win the championship again. The other story is that at WrestleMania 22 it was supposed to be Guerrero versus Shawn Michaels. I believe Stephanie when I say that he was going to the Rumble, because why else would they have Mysterio win the Rumble if it wasn't for the fact that the pick was Guerrero.
Right, yeah.
And I really believe Guerrero was supposed to win the Rumble and go on and face Angle in a rematch for the World Heavyweight Championship. So I think that they did that to attribute to Eddie as for Mysterio to going on to that.
Mm-hmm. No, I get it.
I mean, I agree that he didn't look like the guy that he would actually put the title on. But remember, that also wasn't the first time they did it either. He's now a former 2-time World Heavyweight Champion, not to mention WWE Champion.
Yeah.
Even though that was for a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, that was during that whole chaotic CM Punk John Cena thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those are the two stories going around for WrestleMania 22. But I really believe he was supposed to win the Rumble because this was his bounce back. Because the plan was always put the title back on.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I don't agree with was how short the time that he had the title in 2004. Because as soon as WrestleMania rolls around, now all of a sudden a very fast re-gimmicked Bradshaw becomes JBL after Ron Simmons retired. Now I know you didn't like the character. I didn't mind it, and I thought he held the title well. There's certain guys that can hold it for a long period of time that I don't mind it, provided they do it right. Like CM Punk did it great. John Cena drove me to almost out of the business in 06, 07. I mean, he really did at that point. JBL did a good job holding that belt. The character was good. I know you and I have the misgiving. You know, we're opposites on this. I know you didn't like the character.
No, I hated JBL. I hated JBL. I thought he was okay as a heel, but as far as a champion, he should have never gotten the belt.
I don't think he should have been that fast.
He should have never gotten the belt ever. That's my. I mean, I don't think he should have ever gotten the belt. He only got that belt because it was a transitional period in WWE, and there was no real. Think about it. Rock was gone. Austin was gone. Lesnar was gone. Like, they lost all those superstars. So they gave it to this guy who apparently they liked him backstage. So the wrestling god. Give me a break.
That was stretching it for
yeah. Give me a break. He didn't look like a champion to me.
The only thing I didn't understand is they gave it to him initially when he started the character, but then over the years they never put the belt back on him
because he sucked. Because he sucked. That's why. Because he should have never had it to begin with.
Is he in that Jeff Jarrett fan club? Is he part of that? Is he in that group?
It's close. Listen.
Oh man.
No, I would only say that he's not because of the APA. The APA was really over.
I love the APA.
But as far as JBL fans,
I don't think he had any because he was always.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like,
but I mean, that year running with the title going into WrestleMania, I didn't mind it. I like that better than the whole Jinder Mahal thing, and we know the only reason why they did that.
No, that's not saying much. So, but I don't want this to turn into a JBL episode. So
we're gonna have to do a JBL show.
Oh, God forbid. So,
but right. in any event, he bursts onto the scene now that the acolytes are out. Again, it was after Mania when feuding with JBL. Again, I didn't think it should have been that soon. I think Guerrero should have been champion longer.
Yeah,
I just don't think they gave him enough.
No,
enough time with it.
No. The
storyline was the whole thing that JBL caused Guerrero's mom to have a heart attack. And she was at ringside. That was a little cheesy in my book. I didn't like that whole storyline there and whatnot. And the rivalry became now personal. At Judgment Day, Guerrero got disqualified against JBL when he hit him with the title. If you remember, that was the one where Guerrero bled extensively. through that match when he got busted open. It got
Mm-hmm.
too deep, and they found it out. He found out he bladed himself too deep, and after the match, he actually went into shock backstage and passed out and had to be taken to the hospital. I think by that point, Vince started putting a limit on this because some of these guys were going a little too crazy with it. But I remember him bleeding in that match, and I mean, it was just, wow, that whole ring was covered. But going forward now, Great American Bash, Guerrero had to face JBL, this time in a Texas bull rope match. Now, if it's going to favor the challenger, you know the title's going to change hands. Yeah. Unfortunately, it did. And it also appeared that Guerrero had won, but the acting GM at the time, Kurt Angle, reversed the decision and gave JBL the title. And I actually remember that because it did look like he hit all four corners. And unfortunately, JBL got it reversed and he became the heavyweight champion. Again, I didn't mind him as being champion. I just don't think Guerrero had enough time as champion. He was only champ not even 5 months at this point. Yeah. So at SummerSlam, now Guerrero lost to Angle by submission because Angle had returned. I think he was out for a brief injury and returned. Guerrero had partnered with Big Show, who were now being targeted by Angle's little group of Mark Jindrak and Luther Reigns. And this is where I think Jindrak, because they didn't put him in the Evolution role, I think, this is the other thing they did with him. Because you remember, they had him in the vignettes, but it wasn't official. And I'm sort of glad they didn't go with him.
No, it didn't. It wouldn't have worked.
No, it wouldn't have worked. So now Survivor Series, it was Guerrero, Big Show, Cena, who had replaced Mysterio, and RVD versus Angle, Luther Reigns, Mark Jindrak, and Carlito. Guerrero's team actually they were the winners of the Survivor Series match. So up next for him at Armageddon, JBL had defended the title against The Undertaker, Booker T, and Eddie Guerrero in a fatal four-way match. Unfortunately, your buddy kept the belt. And I was actually hoping that Eddie Guerrero would win it there so that he could go on, become a two-time champion, maybe main event WrestleMania 21. Going into 2005's Rumble, and this was one of his greatest skits. I don't know if you remember this one. Remember during the picking of the numbers, picks it. Him and Flair went in at the same time. They picked their numbers. Flair was happy about his. Guerrero wasn't about his. He hugged him. Not only did he swap out the numbers, but he stole his wallet. And it was funny because Teddy Long had to go back and collect it from him. He made him return both. I thought it was funny because that's just typical Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah. He used to do funny stuff like that.
Yeah. He enters the Rumble at number 1. He lasted 28 minutes, 11 seconds before Edge eliminated him. Again, well, at that Rumble, I didn't think he was gonna win it at the number 1 spot, especially when there were 2 other hot guys in that, being Batista and John Cena. I saw it more going one of their ways, but Eddie Guerrero did a pretty good job in there. At No Way Out, Guerrero teamed with Mysterio and defeated the Basham Brothers for the tag titles to win it, and that would be his final time winning the tag titles. He's now a 4-time champion. Instead of challenging another tag team, however, for WrestleMania, with the help of Chavo, kept getting into Eddie's head, he wound up challenging Rey Mysterio for a match at WrestleMania. It was champion versus tag champion versus tag champion. Chavo kept getting into his head like, dude, you teamed with him because you can't beat him. You never could beat him. You're in the shadow of Rey Mysterio. And he started getting into his head. They have the match at WrestleMania, and they actually brought the house down with this match. I mean, this was a great opening match between the two. They always had it. Mysterio got the win, and a frustrated Eddie congratulated his tag team partner, but you could see it was going to start. Something was clicking there that the team was going to break up. Growing tensions then between the two erupted as they lost the tag titles to Eminem that year, Nitro and Mercury, on April 21st, 2005 on SmackDown. The next week in a rematch, Guerrero abandoned Mysterio during the match. And on May 5th, 2005, he he gave Mysterio. He saved Mysterio from attack from Chavo and Eminem, only to do it himself. I mean, so at this point now they're done,
Yeah.
and he's turned heel. Judgment Day. Now they fought each other, not in a grudge match, but you pretty much could have called it that between the two. He lost to Mysterio by disqualification. So now pretty much all of 2005 has just become a downward spiral for him.
Yeah.
He's losing everything. Unfortunately, I didn't understand why.
I didn't get it.
So it gets interesting, though, on the storyline. June 30th, 2005, Eddie threatened to reveal a secret about Dominic Mysterio. And I was kind of intrigued watching this because at that point I was only watching Monday Night Raw. I really wasn't watching SmackDown a whole lot. So when I had tuned in and watched this, I'm like, well, what the hell is he going to say? He's a real father or something? Boy, was I right. So now a Great American Bash, it was Mysterio beats Guerrero again. The stipulation was if Guerrero lost, he would not tell the secret. Following week on SmackDown, he revealed it anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, what was the point of the stipulation anyway?
I did not like this whole storyline at all. I don't know if you liked it. I didn't like it.
I liked the feud between the two. If they just went that regular route, it would have been fine.
Right.
But the whole thing at SummerSlam, a ladder match for the custody of Dominic.
I didn't like it. I thought it was stupid. I really thought it was stupid. I didn't like it at all.
And what's funny is if you remember last year, they tried to do the same thing again with Seth Rollins.
I know.
They started bringing it up again. And Mysterio's in the ring going, are we really going down that road again? And I didn't understand why they brought it up, but they quickly abolished it anyway.
Yeah.
They wiped it out. It didn't make any sense. But I didn't like the whole ladder match, yes.
Yeah.
The custody of his kid.
But the custody, I didn't. That's one storyline I didn't care for.
Not when it came to these two. Just like I said, just a regular old feud.
Mm-hmm.
Fine.
You didn't need all that stuff.
No. In any event, the feud ended. Obviously, Mysterio won at SummerSlam. Keeps his kid anyway. The feud ended on September 9, 2005 when Guerrero beat Mysterio in a steel cage match. So now the feud is over and done with, and we're moving on. Following that, this is where Guerrero's career was going to start taking off again. He was named number one contender to the world title against Batista.
Mm-hmm.
Now I remember he was all the stuff they were doing throughout the upcoming weeks. But Guerrero was telling him, "You can trust me. I'm your friend. I won't stab you in the back." Yeah. And it was kind of like they were moving him towards fan favorite again at this point, but he was still using his tactics.
Yeah.
Because Batista would have to constantly look behind his back and stuff to make sure. He's like, "Hey man, I'm your friend. I'm not going to do nothing." And he actually proclaimed himself to be his friend, which Batista was still a little weary about.
But in real life, they were actually very close. They were good friends.
Yes, they were. Which is probably one of the reasons why they opted to work together in this match. And at No Mercy, Batista beat Eddie Guerrero to keep the world title, but it kind of established Eddie back as the fan favorite with the crowd. And unfortunately, this would be his final pay-per-view.
Yeah.
He wrestled his last match, and I thought this was great because I watched this live. On November 11, 2005, on SmackDown, he beat Mr. Kennedy to qualify for the SmackDown Survivor Series team. Unfortunately, he never made it to Survivor Series because what was it? Supposedly, because of his death and everything, Randy Orton had taken over for his match. A week later, he died in a hotel room. And at first, everybody was like, "Oh, it had to be drug related." It actually wasn't. He had heart problems.
His heart gave out on him.
Yeah, because they found him in the bathroom with the toothbrush in his mouth. Chavo did. When I found out about this, tears actually came to my eye because he was one of my favorites. And only a certain handful of wrestlers will this happen if you're a fan. I'm sure the day comes when Vince McMahon goes, "We're all going to bowl." This really hit the wrestling injury hard, and it actually hit somebody even worse. It was Benoit, because they were like brothers. Because he, if anybody's ever watched The Dark Side of the Ring, it pops up in there that for a year to go, he just this really hit him where depression kicked in,
Yeah.
suicidal tendencies. I mean, it really hit him hard. And unfortunately, with Eddie Guerrero's death, I mean, this just sucked because he had a good 5-10 years left in his career. I mean, he was 38 when he died. So you figure he keep himself in shape because apparently wrestlers can go until their late 40s, early 50s now.
Yeah, he was in great shape. And unfortunately, that like you think about it, he was on. They were gonna push him again. That's the shame of it. They were gonna push him again. It's just tragic. He had a great career. He finally got his break.
Yeah, the other thing that supposedly was supposed to happen, but Batista denied this. On the date of his death, Batista denied that Guerrero was actually supposed to win the title off of him. Now, I don't know if that was the case or whatnot. In the match, it actually they changed it with Batista then versus Orton. But with Batista, emphatically denied that a week later he was going to lose the belt. I don't think he would have won the title there. I really think what Stephanie had said was what he was going to go on and win the Rumble and face Angle or Orton, whoever the champion was at the time, in a WrestleMania rematch. I don't think Guerrero would have faced Shawn Michaels, at least not at this WrestleMania. So I really think the belt would have been put back on.
That would have been interesting, though.
Michaels and Guerrero?
At WrestleMania, yeah.
Definitely, yes. Yeah. Definitely. They could have done it a year later if everything had gone the way they wanted to. But in any event, this was tragic. And we lost him too young. And, I know, he survived by his wife. And I know he had one daughter. I think he had another kid, too. And I was one daughter right now is married to Aiden English. This was a sad tragedy to a great career.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's ending the episode on a very down note. But we do want to we do want to celebrate his career. All the great things he accomplished, the entertainment that he provided for all the wrestling fans. One of my favorite things that he used to do when he was doing the cheating and stuff like that was when he would hit somebody with something, and then he would pretend that it was the other person. He'd just fall on the floor.
Mm-hmm. And he did that against Kennedy in his last match for the qualifying. He smacked the chair on the ground on the top.
Yeah.
And then he threw it to Kennedy, and then he fell. And then the referee turned around. You did that? You're disqualified.
I used to love when he used to do that. I used to laugh, man. But just a great. How
about when he stole Kurt Angle's medals?
Yeah.
And the photo, the portrait that he had.
Yep. That was so many great moments. Had a great career. I'm glad he finally got the break. Though I'm glad that he ended up going to WWE and he made it. Even though that was kind of cut short at the end, he could have done more, but he made it. He made it to the top. So
I say at least until 2015, the latest probably that he would have been wrestling up until. So imagine just the matches that could have come forward after that. How many times he would have been champion. How many times he would have turned heel, babyface? Mm-hmm. How many more things he would have stole?
Yeah, but all in all, he had a great career.
Absolutely, he's Hall of Famer,
and he's beloved.
Still to this day, it's still a tragedy.
Absolutely. All right, well, that's our episode on Eddie Guerrero. Let us know your favorite Eddie Guerrero moments. What you thought of his career at WWE, or even when he was in WCW, or if you saw him when he was wrestling in Mexico, ECW, wherever. Let us know what you think about his career. What's coming up next?
After our next episode will be Who's Next? Goldberg,
yeah. That's going to be a good one.
We're going to cover his WCW and WWE up until the present. So I don't really want to think of Goldberg 2.0 right now, but unfortunately the guy's still going and he has, as of right now, still has 5 matches left under his contract in 2023.
Oh, he's getting paid for so good for him.
Exactly. Yeah. He's feeding his family.
All right. Well,
we'll get into his career next.
Yeah. So you guys make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.